When you need to build up your team to handle the growing chaos at work, use Indeed Sponsored Jobs. It gives your job post the boost it needs to be seen and helps reach people with the right skills, certifications, and more. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need a hiring hero? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs.
Hello, and welcome into this week's episode of the Show Before the Show podcast, the official podcast of minor league baseball. We got a podcast al fresco today. I've been forced into the great outdoors to do the podcast, and by that I mean sitting outside my back door because we got a bunch of work going on at this house because we got a baby coming in like less than a month. So I no longer have an office. I'm in office transition, and now I'm just sitting out on the patio. So, fellas, I turned off my camera because the Wi-Fi isn't great out here, but I just want you to know I look resplendent in the outdoors today.
I'm sure people at home are painting their own picture.
Yeah.
Of just what is going on in the Denver office. Although you said it's not an office.
It's an outdoor office today.
An outdoor office.
Monet-esque,
the Rocky Mountains just resplendent behind you.
Just looming beautifully.
Yeah, whatever picture you want to paint at home, go right on ahead. I'm not going to tell you what to do with
family podcast, but
how you choose to view us. Yeah, family podcast within reason.
Well, I am Tyler Maughan. That voice is Sam Dykstra. Benjamin Hill with us as well for this week's, what is this, like 562nd episode of the Show Before the Show podcast?
562, yeah.
That's insane. And wherever you found us, we thank you for hanging out with us on this week's episode of the Show Before the Show as we bring you all the latest and greatest from minor league baseball. And we dive in, of course, with our good pal Benjamin Hill for Ben's Biz Banter presented by Circle K, the official convenience store of minor league baseball. Ben is back from one trip and headed on the road again this weekend. This is, you've had this for summers for over a decade now of getting to do, you're following up one trip with another one. And you're in the heat of it right now. How is it?
Yeah, it's good. I'm slowing down in my old age a little bit, doing some weekend jaunts. Last weekend, I hit the Williamsport Crosscutters, who are now members of the Draft League at historic Bowman Field. I believe it's now Journey Bank Ballpark at historic Bowman Field, but let's just call it Bowman Field. But that ballpark's 100 years old, hosted minor league baseball for a lot of years. The Crosscutters were in the New York Penn League through 2020, but now it's a draft league team. So I hadn't been there in an official capacity for quite a number of years. And I went so I could write about the team's director of smiles, Rashawn Westbay, a special needs adult who has been working for the team for 25 years. And when I say working for the team, I mean, this is a team with a short season schedule. He's there every single day in the office and it's like family. It's really like a family relationship. And it was great to be out there to document him and what he means to the team. So stay tuned for an article and video and all sorts of stuff about that. And, that day was kind of fraught because I made that drive to Wilmington or Williamsport from New York City, not knowing if the game in Williamsport would be played because of air quality index concerns. So it wasn't until I was almost in Williamsport that I learned that the game would happen. If not, I was just going to spend the night in Williamsport anyway at the historic Genetti Hotel. If you ever go to Williamsport, I'd recommend that hotel. It was built in 1922. Everything's kind of fallen apart, but it's got a lot of charm. And yeah, Williamsport, great town to visit. I'm biased. I'm a Pennsylvania guy. But the game played. It turned out to be a beautiful night. It was excellent. Then the next day, more of the same, more anxiety. Like, is this game going to be played? Because I was heading to Wilmington in a thunderstorm. But after an hour and a half delay, they got that game in. The Wilmington Blue Rocks hosting their annual Celebration, a celebration or a celebration of Mr. Celery, the team's who's been around for about 25 years now, the enigmatic vegetable mascot of the Wilmington Blue Rocks. And there's a whole origin story there and a lot of mythology around Mr. Celery. So I've written about him about a decade ago. I don't know if I should gender. Well, no, he's Mr. Celery.
He's Mr. Celery.
Wait a second. Yeah. I was like, wait, why am I assigning gender to a vegetable? But yeah, he's Mr. Celery. So it all checks out, I guess.
Has there ever been a time where they've debuted like a family for Mr. Celery?
No, not at all. I mean, he's so mysterious.
He's a lone wolf.
He's a lone wolf. He only appears on the field, so he never goes in the stands or the
Dating.
suites or yeah.
He doesn't date a lot.
He does not date a lot. Yeah, uh, yeah. I guess he's celery bit. Celery bit.
That was pretty good. That was pretty good.
Never mind. Yeah, he only comes out on the field when the Blue Rocks score a run. Blur's song number 2 plays. Everyone goes woohoo, and then he disappears again. But it's crazy. You go in the team store. It's called the Quarry, because they're named the Blue Rocks. So there is the local geology theme. They have a moose mascot named Blue Winkle. But if you go in the team store, if you go in the Quarry at Frawley Stadium, home of the Wilmington Blue Rocks, there's more Mr. Celery hats, shirts, magnets, little pins, trinkets, pennants. This team brands and sells around Mr. Celery more than pretty much any other aspect of their identity. And it all goes back to a celery mascot costume that was left behind at the stadium maybe 25 years ago after like a healthy eating related promotion, something like that.
It really is like the best origin story of any minor league baseball mascot. Like, I don't know, somebody left this and then we turned it into a thing.
Exactly. And you just, the sort of thing you just cannot plan for. And it's going a quarter century strong. So yeah, despite the air quality, despite the weather, it was great to be in Williamsport and Wilmington. And now next weekend, Saturday and Sunday, July 25th and 26th, I'll be in Richmond. Carmax Park, the new home of the Flying Squirrels. The Flying Squirrels played the Diamond for a lot of years, ever since they came to Richmond in 2009, relocating from Norwich, Connecticut, where they were the Connecticut Defenders. They spent about 15 years at the Diamond, and now they're in a new ballpark. It's a long time coming. So I'll be checking out a ballpark. I should really update my numbers. I think this will be my 193rd ballpark of my professional career, but who's counting? I'm not really anymore. I'm letting go of my ego and just becoming at one, pure presence and being. It doesn't matter what I have done. I'm a mere conduit, a mere vessel for larger concerns.
The Diamond, by the way, in Richmond, a previous team moved out of the Diamond in Richmond because they were like, well, we're never going to be able to use this thing long term. And then the Flying Squirrels arrived and they just like made it work for 15 years there. And that's not a shot at the former Richmond franchise, which is now the Gwinnett Stripers. But I mean, it was like, if we don't get a new ballpark, we're out of here. And then they left. And then the Flying Squirrels were like, all right, we'll make it work until we can find a new ballpark. And kudos to them, man. That franchise they just immediately turned themselves into, one of the crown jewel franchises in minor league baseball. And it's cool to see them rewarded with a new ballpark in a place that Richmond is very excited about.
Yeah, 100%. So I'm looking forward to going down there. Great front office staff, great operation, great sports town, Richmond. They really support their minor league baseball team, have for a lot of years. Perhaps supported it too much because the team was trying to get out of the Diamond. And everyone's like, well, you guys are selling out the Diamond. Why
Look at that, though. Your attendance is so great. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, obviously, but yeah, I get it very much.
And since we're talking about Richmond, and Tyler, you just mentioned that before the Flying Squirrels, they were the AAA Richmond Braves.
Yes.
Then they moved to Gwinnett and became the Stripers. Let's go on a brief tangent to the Gwinnett Stripers. If anyone saw their lineups the last couple days, they have had Ronald Acuna Jr. batting leadoff, along with Carlos Santana and Andrew McCutchen in the lineup. They have both signed with the Braves organization, just trying to extend their careers, get back in a major league lineup. They are the two oldest position players to appear in a major league game this season. And now they are playing together, Carlos Santana and Andrew McCutchen in the Braves lineup. And then they also had Acuna Jr. They had a few other major league guys in the lineup. One of the lineups, the team posted, they had 61 years of MLB service time.
That is crazy.
In the lineup, and then the lineup the night before had some obscene number of major league home runs collectively, or you could categorize it by MVPs between Acuna and McCutchen. There were two former major league MVPs. Just crazy AAA lineups in Gwinnett, and so check that team out. Check what they've been doing, and if you're like me, you'll be interested in how Carlos Santana and Andrew McCutchen are doing. I always find it interesting to follow guys till the very end and hope they get just a last burst of life, or maybe not even a last one. Keep it going. But
right.
But it gets harder and harder as you go on, and I understand. Just trying your best, and You got to, what do they say? Rip the uniform off you.
Yeah, play until they rip the jersey off you.
There
That's
it
what
is.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Tear
Yeah.
the jersey off you? I don't know. Whichever.
Untie your cleats.
Yeah, something like that. All right, Ben. Speaking of that Atlanta organization, you've got a story in the newsletter that's coming to the site as well about if you were a fan of that system, you got a really good stretch of time coming up to see all of your organization's top young talent.
Wow, what a segue. I wasn't even planning for that. But
I think you were setting that up.
Yeah,
to be
I
honest
thought you
with
were.
That was a real professional job by you. And
Yeah,
then
nice
was.
job.
we took a tangent into Ronald Acuna and Andrew McCutcheon, which is never a bad thing. Not on this show. Is it a bad thing to talk about those two players? But no, this ties really nicely into your newsletter topic this week.
It does. Something we talked about months ago, and an article I wrote months ago was about how there was a stretch of time where the schedules aligned and you could visit the Baltimore Orioles and their four affiliates, and as well as the Major League Baltimore Orioles in a 5-day span. And after that article did pretty well, and a lot of people seemed interested in it, I was like, well, the only other organization you can do really that you could pitch an all organizational road trip in a 5-day span within reasonable drive is the Atlanta Braves. So I started looking at the schedule. And for the remainder of this was months ago when I first started looking at it, and I only found one stretch of time for the remainder of the season, which at that point was still a lot of the season, in which you could see all 5 teams in the Braves organization in a 5-day span. And that is coming up early next month, August 7th to the 11th. So you could tweak this itinerary in various ways, but the one I put together would have you starting in Columbus, Georgia, the AA Columbus Clingstones on Friday, August 7th. Then going to the Rome Emperors on Saturday, August 8th in Rome, Georgia. Then the aforementioned Gwinnett Stripers on Sunday, August 9th. They play in the greater Atlanta metropolitan area. They're a AAA team. Then from there to the Braves themselves on Monday, August 10th. And then wrap it up on Tuesday, August 11th with the Augusta, but not in Georgia, the Augusta, South Carolina Green Jackets. They play just across the Savannah River in North Augusta, South Carolina. But if you're a fan of the Braves or a fan of minor league road trips, this is a rare opportunity, or relatively rare opportunity, to get all 5 teams in the major leagues and the entirety of the minors in a 5-day span. And Sam, this is something I brought up in the office because I was shocked. But in this story, I don't write about prospects much, but I included all the prospects you could see at each of these minor league stops along the way, each of the Braves' top 30 prospects you could see. And so, as I said, the first stop on this trip is AA, Columbus Clingstones. And I'm looking at the top 30 prospect list, of course, on MLB Pipeline, and the AA Columbus Clingstones, 0. I was under the impression that AA was like the prospect level. The Braves have none of their organizational top 30 prospects currently with their AA team. What?
I think that's just a funky little thing there that's gone on. I mean, they've got some decent AAA talent. They've got some decent high A talent. I'm thinking especially of Eric Hartman. That's Hartman with an H for anybody who doesn't know the world of prospects. One of the breakout stars of this year. A guy who's already been a 2020 talent at the high A level. And I think people were basically just waiting for him to go to Columbus. That might happen, to be honest with you, by the time your itinerary starts on August 7th. I know he's had a slight downturn recently. I think he was hitting below 200 over his last 30 games or so. But the power has been immense and a shock to a lot of people, and the speed is always there. So I would like to see him get a taste of the Southern League before the year is out, but just hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, but those Rome Emperors, for now at least, are stocked. Eric Hartman is the number 2 in the organization. Cam Caminetti is number 1. Tate Salvacine is number 4. Briggs McKenzie, left-handed pitcher, number 6. Shortstop John Gill, number 9. Right-handed pitcher Luke Sinnard, number 10, and so on and so forth. So what Columbus is lacking, you can find in spades in Rome, Georgia right now. But everything's in flux. This is the minor leagues.
Well, also, I wanted to ask about like why you set up your itinerary in the way that you did. Because you being you, part of me wonders if there are like promo nights involved here, or if there was anything specifically of like, oh, Columbus does Friday nights really well or something to that effect. I know why you would have Atlanta on Monday
Yeah.
because there's no minor league games on Mondays. Outside of that, is there anything else to this, or is it just the fact that you are driving south pretty much?
Yeah, I couldn't get too cute with it. I would there the Orioles one I did earlier in the year had more variables because all four of the minor league teams were home at the same time on a Tuesday through Sunday homestand, and then the Orioles started over the weekend. So you had a lot more kind of things you can manipulate with this one. But this one, yeah, the Augusta Green Jackets were not home during the time that,
From Friday to Sunday.
yeah, so they couldn't be on until Tuesday. And then I also needed to find a stretch of time then because there was no overlapping homestands with all four in the Braves system. I had to find an overlapping series of homestands for at least three of the teams, which I did, then find the Braves on a Monday, a minor league off day. So then the remaining team that wasn't home when the others were could be on Tuesday. So that's really how this one came about. I would have liked to, yeah, pick the promos and atmosphere by day, but this was one that didn't really have a lot of wiggle room.
Well, fellas, that's a good trip for anybody. If the three of us had the option of somehow, yeah, let's take that trip. That would be very cool to do. One of these years, we'll do some cool bucket list minor league baseball road trip. All of us. We did a short one in Sam's car last year, in which I got to sit in the back seat. For those of you who don't remember, go back and listen to episode 500. But great stuff from Benjamin Hill. As always, Ben's Biz Banter is presented by Circle K, the official convenience store of minor league baseball. Good stuff, Ben. Thanks. We'll catch you for Name That Dude.
All right. I can't wait.
Rolling along on this week's episode of the show before the show, Sam Dykstra is back with us from Springfield, Missouri, where he got a chance to hang out with friend of the show, Jason Schwartz, and check out the Springfield Cardinals, who are playing host to the Tulsa Drillers. Texas League action. Sam, what was the trip to Springfield like?
Yes, it was a good trip to Springfield. My first time in that neck of the woods. I think just my second time ever to the state of Missouri. Possibly. I have been to St. Louis. I covered a hockey tournament there in my youth. But, going back, it's about 2.5 hours, I believe, from Springfield to St. Louis, but it very much feels part of Cardinal Nation. In fact, talking to some players over the weekend, talking to other people around the club, they say this is your real first sense of feeling what it's like to play in the Cardinals' backyard, metaphorically speaking, not literally. But when you're climbing up through the St. Louis system, you're going from Palm Beach to Peoria. Peoria is not that far away, but it's not actually in the state of Missouri. So you get a little bit of taste of that, and I think everybody appreciates that. And the Springfield Cardinals have done a really good job in recent years in trying to get folks out to the ballpark. They've started to add alternate identities that we've talked about on the show a bunch, including the Cashew Chickens. When I was there, I first got there on Friday, and both Friday and Saturday were Christmas in July promotions, which was very disorienting because I got there very early Friday morning. I left New York City. I flew out at 6 o'clock in the morning. So I was on very little sleep, and there was Christmas music all over the ballpark. And I was like, where am I and when am I? But it was a fun, festive environment. They did Holly Jolly fireworks with Christmas music Friday night. And then Saturday was the MLB Pipeline Prospect Showcase game, which we put on MLB Network. I was on the call with Steve Granado. That was a lot of fun getting to work with him. I got, as you mentioned, our good friend Jason Schwartz, got to do some radio with him on Friday night. A lot of good people working in that St. Louis front office. But the reason we were there was because this is a pretty loaded matchup between Springfield and Amarillo last week. The starters in Saturday night's game were Cooper Jerpy and Dean Curley. Curley was making his Double-A debut. I think he was a little bit better than his line indicated, or Brian Curley, excuse me, not Dean Curley. Dean Curley, a very different player. Brian Curley of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Curley was better than his line indicated. Gave up 10 hits, 4 runs, 3 of them earned. Walked nobody, which I thought was kind of impressive, and struck out 3. Cooper Jerpy, somebody working his way back from Tommy John surgery. So, speaking to some people before the game, they're not really that worried about the results with Cooper Jerpy. It's just like go out there and make starts. And he had a pretty good one. I mean, his command was a little rough early on, but snapped right back. 3 innings, 6 strikeouts for him, only 1 run allowed, 2 hits, and 1 walk. Cooper Jerpy, 59 pitches, 35 of which were for strikes. If you ever get a chance to watch Cooper Jerpy, it's really funky. You might remember him from his days back at Oregon State. He's battled a lot of elbow injuries over the years. Hopefully, Tommy John is just cleaning all of that out and getting it in his past, but it's a very low sidearm angle. The fastball, the metrics aren't going to look great, but it's really flat. It's really difficult for guys to hit. And then he's got a slider and a changeup that are going opposite directions, basically equally. And that can be really tough for batters to touch. It certainly seemed like Amarillo was really fooled at times on Saturday. So that was good to get a good up close look at him. The big name on the evening was Rainiel Rodriguez, who started at catcher for the Springfield Cardinals. He's the top prospect in the Cardinals organization overall. Only 19 years old at Double-A, joining Jesus Madej and Leo DeVries as the only 19-year-old regulars who have been at the Double-A level this year. He continues to really grow into that level. He got off to a little bit of a rocky start, but everything I've heard is that he's always stayed the same. He's not somebody who looked panicked or worried coming out of the gate. I wonder how much of that is just how green he is, right? Like he's 19 years old. He really hasn't failed. So the idea of him failing is just like, well, I'll figure it out because I figured everything else out. And to his credit, he has. And in that game on Saturday, 3 for 4 for him with a double. He caught Cooper Jerpy, which was good to see. They've been rotating him between DH and first base just a little bit, just basically to try to keep his legs under him because, he came stateside for the first time last year, still building him up in terms of trying to weather a full season worth of at-bats as the catcher. They're not trying to get him hurt or anything by overworking him. Smart strategy, if you ask me. So the fact that he's holding up, really turned things around, continuing to show really good power, Rainiel Rodriguez, that was exciting to see him on his game. There were a couple of homers in this one and by guys you might recognize as well. One was by Demetrio Crisantes, who will be our guest on the show. You'll hear from him in a little bit. Somebody who I've heard good things about for about 2+ years now in terms of the hit tool, but it's just, can he stay healthy? A lot of it is kind of freak stuff. Like last year, he tore his left shoulder and missed the rest of the year after opening the year at high A. The D-backs said to me, coming into this season, hey, we're still going to send him to Double-A. We were about to do that anyways before the shoulder. We believe in the work ethic. We believe he's going to come back from it. And then, unfortunately, he had a hamstring strain to begin the year. So he got set back again. Rehabs a little bit, comes back, goes to Double-A, hits the ground running. And right after this game on Saturday, like I said, he hit a home run. It wasn't showing out great earlier in the game, but then showed he can just put the barrel where he wants it and get it on the bat and pulled it down the left field line for a homer. And 2 days after that, he's been promoted already to AAA Reno. So the results continue to point up for Demetrio Crisantes. He keeps earning his chances with the bat. So he homered for Amarillo, and Drew Jones also homered for Amarillo. Obviously, a big name going years back, the son of Andrew Jones, now a Hall of Famer. He's always going to be a gifted center fielder. There's no doubt about that. It's top of the scale defense in center field, and that's going to keep getting him opportunities. It's been a rough offensive profile. There have been times when it almost looks like he's afraid to swing. And on Saturday, when I saw him, he drove a ball deep to right field. That's his specialty, is pushing the ball the opposite way. Sometimes that sounds good. Normally, you would like him to have better reactions and getting the bat head out in front of the ball and pulling it more often. That still hasn't happened much this year in 2026. But he does have a couple of majestic homers, and he has been batting above 300 since, I think, June 2nd. Still coming with a lot of swing and miss, still coming with a lot of strikeouts. But as his athleticism is going to continue getting him shots. So if he's going to make the most of them with these homers, that would be great to see. I would love to see him get hot in the second half even more so, cut down on that swing and miss, show off the pop that a lot of people believed he had as an amateur. But, again, like at a one-day look, and I'm not going to say Drew Jones is fixed because he homered on Saturday, but it was interesting to see him do that. The final score was 4-3 for Springfield with a win there, which is interesting if you know anything about Route 66 Stadium, along with Amarillo and Hodgetown, right? Like both of those are extremely hitter-friendly environments. Amarillo very well might be the most hitter-friendly environment certainly in Double-A, maybe in all of the minor leagues. And, I was kind of expecting maybe a 9-8 game, even with two prominent pitchers on the mound. But to the credit of both bullpens, Brant Thompson threw 4 2/3 innings. He only gave up one earned run, struck out six, didn't walk any. Sandro Santana, who's a pitcher we just added to the top 30 for Arizona, he's got a wicked slider and he's sitting mid 90s with his fastball. I mean, they're going to keep pushing that guy. I think he could be in the major leagues pretty quickly just on the quality of stuff. He was back-footing a lot of sliders to right-handed hitters in that game. He struck out three in an inning and 2/3 scoreless. Josh Groves, somebody who's battled elbow issues at times this year, opened the year as a starter. He's actually been traded twice in the last year after time, I believe, in the Yankees and the Rockies systems. He struck out three over an inning and 2/3. So the bullpens really showed out in this, and that was a nice surprise. You go to this expecting a slugfest and you don't get it. I like being surprised in that way. We've talked a lot about Route 66 Stadium, the renaming of it on the show in the past few months. I recommend people go back and listen to that interview and go check out Route 66 Stadium in Springfield, Missouri in general. It's considered like the birthplace of Route 66, and they do a really good job of leaning into that. If you're into that sort of Americana and caring about the Mother Road, you will be able to celebrate it in Springfield. I took a drive Saturday morning just to get out of the hotel, get away from the ballpark a little bit. And it's just a cool feeling, right? Driving down the road and seeing that this is Route 66. And I bumped into people as I was taking pictures along the roadside who were like, "Oh, are you driving the full thing?" Because that's just what people do. Like that is a
that
thing
is
that
really
people
cool.
do. So I wish I said, no, I'm here for work. We kind of just left it there. But I am jealous of anybody who's driven the entire thing from Chicago to Santa Monica, California. I've seen bips and bobs of it in stops like Amarillo. I've been to Santa Monica. But to add Springfield was a pretty fun thing. So all around a good trip on Saturday.
Well, good stuff, Sam. All right, you at the grind of the top 30 altar have been updating top 30s across baseball. MLB Pipeline, of course, throughout the season, updating top 30 prospect lists. Give us some news on the latest updates.
Yeah, so this is something that is actually going down Thursday night, the night before you guys all get this podcast. So I can kind of talk about things that have actually happened, even though as of recording, they have not yet gone live, but they will very shortly. We are updating the top 30 lists for all 30 organizations. I want to highlight one thing here up top. This does not include draft picks. The signing deadline for draft picks is on Monday. And we are going to update things again in August to include draft picks. Everything's going to get blown up, put back together as we do in season every year. But this is something we've started last year and we wanted to do it again this year. It's just to get the top 30s into a better shape, right? Because the trade deadline is coming right down the road. It's August 3rd, about a week and a half away. And they're every year, because we are swamped with draft coverage, futures game coverage, all-star game coverage, regular minor league coverage. In the past, we wouldn't make updates to the top 30s in the month of July. We would wait until August, and then the trade deadline would happen, and somebody would get traded, right? And we would say, well, he's ranked number 27 now, but he was going to be number 5. This year, like you said, Tyler, we've been at the grindstone. We've been talking to sources, talking amongst ourselves, throwing ideas out, trying to gather as much intel as we can to get the list into a better shape. So when trades do go down, because they will, and Lord knows I'm bunkering down for them, when somebody gets traded, they are in a more accurate place come August 3rd or any trades that happen before then than they would have been otherwise. Now, these are not wholesale changes. We did not, redo everything 1 to 30. What we did instead was we redid the top 10s. So all the top 10s are brand new. And then anybody from 11 to 30 who we felt should move up or down 10 or more spots. We did that on the list. So you may see somebody, for example, I'm thinking of like Cooper Fleming with the Tampa Bay Rays. He was somebody who was ranked number 27 when we started this list. He's now at number 4 for the Tampa Bay Rays because he's absolutely showed out at Single-A Charleston this year. He's proven to be the better prospect than their first-round pick last year, Daniel Pierce, who is out now with an injury, a shoulder injury. But Cooper Fleming, somebody who's kind of put himself onto the top 100 radar with the bat to ball, with decent power coming along, somebody who can play short. So we climbed him up to number 4 in the rankings there. That's just one example. There are other ones of guys falling down multiple spots like Tink Hence. I'm just looking in this S8 and T range now on our dock. Tink Hence goes from 14 to 28. So we're trying to, again, guys who are broken out. We're trying to reward them. Guys who are slipping down the list, we're trying to move them off. We've also added players who we felt were worthy of top 20 spots, but weren't ranked yet. So somebody like Sebastian Dos Santos with the St. Louis Cardinals, somebody who's already reached the single A level in his age 18 season, absolutely flew out of the gate in the Florida Complex League, shows above average power potential, shortstop / second baseman, pretty good discipline for his age too. So there's a lot of good offensive markers there, but I just haven't had a Cardinals prospect graduate to the point where I could get Sebastian Dos Santos on the list. Now he can be on the list, and not only can he be on the list, but his breakout has been so good and so solidified that he's now up to number 12 on the St. Louis list. So that's what we're aiming for with this. I'm not going to go through all 30 all the changes for each of the orgs, but in some cases, and we'll get into one here in just a moment, we have changed things that require other changes to the top 100, the top 10 positional lists. So check all that out. MLB Pipeline, dig through everything now. Again, what we're going to do is the trade deadline comes, we make changes immediately. We add guys to the list when they've been traded away, or we add new players to the list if they've traded away prospects. So it's going to be a lot of movement in the coming days. And then, like I said, in August, we'll incorporate all the draft picks. We'll fold the guys in. You get to find out where Rock Chalowski ranks with the Chicago White Sox and where Grady Emerson will be with the Tampa Bay Rays. I'm sure you're all on the edge of your seats and can't predict those two players at all. But anyway, so that'll be fun too. But the wheel keeps on turning. But it's just nicer to have these in a general shape. If you want to debate number 16 versus 18, we can do that. But for the most part, this is just about getting the big movers their due spots on the list.
All right, good stuff, Sam. Hey, one thing before we pivot to our conversation for this week's episode of the show before the show, we've got a very cool thing to alert you to if you did not know already. Major League Baseball and NBC Sports announced a few weeks ago that an all-new docuseries, Road to the Show, will take viewers, this is according to a story by our good friend Rob Terranova on MLB.com, will take viewers, quote, through the defining moments that shape baseball's next generation, capturing the pressure, sacrifice, and determination involved in pursuing a major league dream while highlighting the families, coaches, and teammates who make that journey possible. The Road to the Show will have 5 episodes, the final one coming out on August 2nd, 3 already out. One of them will drop this weekend, July 26th. It is produced by MLB Network. It is on Peacock. You can get it on Peacock. You can access all of the previous episodes there and tune in to follow along with players like Jesus Madej, Ethan Holiday, Braden Montgomery, Gage Wood, Rock Chalowski, and Justin LeBron, both of whom were, of course, drafted this year. And so follow that. And the remaining episodes coming up on Peacock. And all right, Sam, we are headed to a conversation for this week's episode 562. What do we got?
Yeah, so this one, I've mentioned his name already in this segment, Demetrio Crisantes, who this works really well between our two segments, I think, because he's going to climb up and become Arizona's top prospect, and he's going to join the top 100 for the first time, basically for all the reasons I talked about earlier. I mean, it's just a plus hit tool. The power, I think, is going to be average. He's not a huge guy. There were some questions about how the glove would be early on. He's kind of settled in at second base, so he is playing up the middle. And yeah, he's a career hitter in the minor leagues of 321. I mean, the guy just bangs everywhere he goes as long as he stays healthy. So we're going to get into that here very shortly. But it was good to check in with him just to see how the season has gone so far, what it's like playing in Amarillo before he got promoted to AAA Reno. And also he's a local sort of Arizona product. He grew up in a border city a few hours south of Phoenix. So what is it like to be sticking in state and pushing for your major league debut? You'll hear all of that in my conversation with Demetrio Crisantes. So just for starters, I mean, you're coming off the hamstring strain and a couple of games of rehab, then you get pushed to AA. It seems like you've kind of hit the ground running. Just what have these last few weeks been back playing ball?
I mean, it's been great. You know, last year also with the shoulder, so I missed a lot of time last year, and just being back with the boys has been awesome.
How do you stay fresh during that time? Like, what are you able to do when you are battling a hamstring?
You know, it's just talking to a lot of my family, you know, talking to my parents, just trying to stay, you know, get better mentally, physically, anything like the little things I can do in the season, just try to get that better.
Yeah, what are some of those little things? Like, are you able to sit in the cage and watch pitches, work on that stuff?
We have like some of the traject, so just sitting there and like, or just standing there and watch different pitches, different velos, even just mentally like prepare, like just see some different like scouting report and stuff and see how I would go out at that game.
When you're sitting in against a traject, is there any pitcher you always put in there?
I mean, honestly, I just want to see the nastiest guys. So like they'll have Skeens. They didn't have Mr. Rowski. I wanted to see him, but just anything that has like good stuff, just wanted to see that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then you get sent here to AA after, like you said, limited time last year. What was your reaction to finding out you were coming to AA this quick?
I was excited. I felt like I was ready for the challenge, and you know, I've been playing with these guys for a couple of years now, and I know they were climbing up the ladder, and I want to climb it up with them. So when they told me I was going to AA, I was like, you know what, let's go win some ball games and have fun.
There you go. What has been the most eye-opening experience about AA?
I think that the challenge, you know, pitchers are getting a lot better here. Staying patient, staying within yourself, you know. That's pretty much it, yeah.
Has there been any arm you faced that's kind of like, oh, this is how good it can be at this level?
Here, I faced Mason Molina.
Oh, sure,
and I was like, you know, that change of place, and looks like a fastball out of his hand. But that's just the thing that you get, you know, experience and, you know, just playing every day.
You mentioned the shoulder last year. What was rehab like for that? I mean, it's obviously very different from the hamstring. So how does that affect you mechanically, and when did you feel like yourself again?
It was long. It was a long adjustment. You know, just in the beginning, couldn't do really much of anything. Just lift and do nothing. And then once I started swinging, it honestly felt pretty good. Once I got to like machine work, which was like 2 months after I started swinging, I was like, okay, my shoulder feels a lot better than before.
Was that just because of the weight training, or what allowed it to feel better?
Could have been the weight training, could have been the way I did my rehab, but I just felt like it was clean in there. The doctor said it was a lot going on in there. So once he cleaned that out, he said, you're going to be a lot better, and it feels a lot better.
Nice. And just your approach at the plate. I mean, talking to scouts, watching you, it seems like you don't overcomplicate things, and I mean that in a positive way. How do you describe it, how you hit?
Same way. Like, I just try to keep it calm, try to keep it simple, not overcomplicate things. You know, just at the end of the day, I got to hit the ball, and if I put it in play, it gives me a good chance to get on base, and I just want to be, like, just simple.
Are there any type of mechanics you've tried to mimic, or where do you get that from?
I mean, I just always used to watch, like, Pujols growing up, or, like, Barry Bonds, but getting, like, their, like, little pieces from everybody, and then what works with me the best, I just feel like I've learned through that as my career has gone on.
And you're coming from a border town, Nogales. I mean, at what point did you realize, like, pro ball could be a thing for you?
Going into my senior year, it was like summer ball. We were playing in Phoenix. And I started getting some scouts' attentions, and I was like, you know what, I can do this. You know, I didn't know I was, because I didn't play the year before because of COVID.
Right.
So I didn't know how much scouts were out there or what was going on. And once I started seeing that, I'm like, you know what, it's a reality right now.
And what were they talking to you about? Like, what were those conversations like?
Just the same things. It's like my approach, asking me about stuff, questions about like where I'm from and stuff, and just trying to keep it simple. And that's how I play my game.
How would you describe your hometown? Because like I said, it is right over the border. So a lot of people think Arizona, but it is 3 hours south of Phoenix. How do you describe it?
I mean, it's a border town, so it's right by Mexico. And, you know, it's a family-oriented town. I feel like a lot of people know each other there and care for each other. So once someone leaves for Nogales, you know, you just always follow them. And I get a lot of support from them. And it's a lot of support and love. And it's awesome being from Nogales.
Have there been any pros to come from that area? I mean, what is it like for you just going home?
I mean, there's a couple right now. There's been a couple that came out, but going home is just like trying to like show the younger people in Nogales what it takes to get there. There's not a lot of population down there, so you don't have a lot of people to look up to. And I just want to go out back there and get back to the town.
What questions are they asking you? What do you tell them most?
How's pro ball? Like, is it what is the difference? Like stuff like that. And I'm like, you just need to be mentally strong and you know, work harder than everyone else.
And then defensively, you've moved around the dirt pretty much your entire career, but it seems like getting a ton of time at second base right now. What do you feel like you need to do to stick there?
Just make the routine plays, you know, just get the routine outs. And I feel like anywhere they put me, if I make the routine play, they're going to, I'm just going to stay there.
What were those conversations like earlier in your career? Because I feel like early on, normally they want you to stay at one place. For you, they wanted your bat and lineup. So what were those conversations like?
Just if I can be a utility guy, it just works better for me. I get more opportunity, and I was in for whatever they wanted me. If they wanted me to play second, third, first, anywhere. Just as long as I'm in the lineup, I'm gonna give my all.
Do you feel like there was like one moment or one season in which you really caught attention on the pro side too? Because it wasn't just getting drafted by the D-backs, but now like you're on prospect lists, people know your name across the industry.
It was in 24 when I went to Visalia. I felt like I did really good there, and it's just since there I've been gotten a lot more attention than I did before.
And what is it like just playing in Amarillo, just as a park? Because everybody knows it's like the most notorious hitter-friendly park in all of minor league baseball.
Yeah, I mean,
what is it like for you?
For a hitter, it's awesome. It's great. I enjoy it. You get a little miss hits here, and they're they're off the wall, and you're like, dang, like how would that happen? But I mean, it's great. It's a great city and a lot of fans that go out there too. Great fans.
Is there a temptation just to lift everything in that ballpark?
Yeah, when you see the wind going out, you start trying to change your approach, but then that's when go back to what you do. Line drive up the middle. Don't try to do too much. Let it all happen.
Is there a stat that you look to most to determine how you're doing, especially in parts like that? Like you could hit it 94 down the line and it's going to get out.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the OPS or just even your batting average sometimes just gets to my head, but I just try not to focus on that. I just try to keep the same approach and just focus on hitting a line drive up the middle.
Now you've been here for a few weeks, gotten comfortable with these guys. I know you've played with a lot of them for years now. This game tomorrow is going to be on MLB Network. What do you hope D-backs fans learn about this team and about you?
How we're an exciting young team. We're a very young Double-A team, and I feel like the D-backs fans should be excited to see what's coming their way.
Yeah, and who I don't want to say it surprised you most, but who you like playing with most, and like even surprises you with their talent level sometimes?
I mean, obviously Drew Jones in center field. Sure. His center field is unbelievable. There's times where there's balls hit out there, and I'm like, there's no way he's getting there. He just runs it down like if it was nothing. But all these guys, we've all improved in some way and somehow throughout the years, and it's been great, like growing up with these guys.
If and when you make a debut in Phoenix, A, what is that game going to be like, and B, how many ticket requests are you going to get?
It's going to be an awesome game. I mean, I think about it all the time. I know my time will come, and when it comes, I just know the whole town of Nogales is going to be there. I know a lot of people are like, make sure we get tickets when you get there. Make sure you get tickets. I'm like, a lot of ticket requests will be in, and I'll do my best to get as many tickets for those people.
Sam, good stuff as always with this week's guest on the show before the show, Demetrio Crisantes. Big thanks to him for joining us. And before we get out of here, actually, before we even get to name that dude, I do have one topic that I want to bring up with you guys, which is from one of my favorite emailers into the Show Before the Show podcast, which is Gregory Koch or Koch. I don't think Gregory has clarified the pronunciation of his last name, whether it's like Billy Koch, the former A's closer, or like other famous people who have the last name spelled that way and pronounced Koch. But either way, he emailed us and said, quote, have you ever discussed which minor league nicknames represent the largest and smallest things? I think the Knoxville Smokies are the largest, representing a whole mountain range now that the Jacksonville Suns are renamed and the Hagerstown Suns have been contracted. Smallest is definitely the Albuquerque Isotopes, representing a single atom, until we have teams calling themselves the Protons or Electrons or something else. So we know that. We know the Topes they've got that one nailed down. As far as largest, I think Gregory is pretty much right on with the Smokies, but I do have one that I think we could potentially throw in there as maybe something that, depending on what exactly it's referring to, although I guess in its geographic region, it probably wouldn't be this way. But I feel as though the only other team that could potentially rival the Smokies in terms of size for the team name is the West Michigan Whitecaps, because I feel like Whitecaps in a large sea storm, there's a lot of Whitecaps. You know what I mean? Like maybe there's a range of, but probably not on Lake Michigan. So that'd be the trade-off.
This is an interesting question, and given how long I've been writing about baseball, and especially when I used to have minor league baseball, and especially like when I used to have the blog, this just seems like a blog I would have done in the off season 15 years ago. I probably did and don't remember. Anyway, What about the Vancouver Canadians? Could you just argue that's all of Canada?
Ooh.
Well, no, because I think that's an individual.
Yeah, it speaks about it's like the Space Cowboys. Like that could be all of space, but it's really just the cowboy.
Yeah.
So the Canadians,
The singular of Canadian,
but it is
Canadian. We're talking about like what the singular.
The Vancouver Canadians just don't represent one Canadian guy or
that is. We're gonna have to get Gregory's ruling on this. I think as far as like a single, physical entity goes, yeah, Smokies is probably it. Suns was a great call though. Suns would have been, obviously. What were you gonna say, Sam?
Well, I was going to say, to your point about Whitecaps, I think the Tides is more what you're looking for.
Tides. Yeah, Tides could be too. Yeah, that's true.
Because Whitecaps themselves are ephemeral and
are just a piece.
Yeah, they're just like, the tide is always there, ever changing, but always there.
How do we feel about naturals?
Yeah, naturals. I was going to say
the entire natural world in this.
No,
at least the entirety of Arkansas, which is the natural state.
Yeah.
Kylie, you're in a natural state right now.
Yeah,
recording this podcast
outdoors. Which I keep wanting to call a la carte, and that's not at all what a la carte means. I'm also wondering, like, behind isotopes, which is the very obvious number one smallest thing, do we have anything between like the size of an isotope and the size of an insect? I don't think we really do, right? Because, like bees, green jackets,
grasshoppers,
fireflies. Like there are a lot of insect named teams. I don't think we have anything between the insects and the basis of all existence and an isotope.
No, but also, how large is a comet?
Yeah, I was going to say comets potentially. And also, this isn't really that question posed in a different way, but what's the difference between a comet and an asteroid? Is one of them like orbiting something and one of them
No, I think an asteroid has to land, doesn't it?
Interesting. Comet.
I think a comet is just going through space at all times. An asteroid is something that actually lands.
Oh, interesting. According to NASA, asteroids are made out of different materials, essentially. Asteroids are rocky and comets are icy. Huh.
Oh
no.
What?
That's why he was the Commerce Comet, Mickey Mantle, because he was cold as ice. You couldn't phase Mickey Mantle. You couldn't throw him off.
And it
his
had
rhythm.
nothing to do with alliteration.
Nothing.
Not a single.
No. It's because he had ice in his veins. Interesting. I never knew that.
Here's one for you if you're looking for something that's maybe the size of an insect. A hook.
Yeah, that's true. Hooks. Yeah, hooks. You can get real small hooks. You can get real small hooks.
The smallest, inanimate object.
Yeah, and I feel like even the smallest hook is probably there's still like a bee that's that size, like a little tiny bee.
Lug nuts are
certain. Yeah. We have a lot of mid-range options, but we know our smallest aren't our largest. That's good. Okay, and from that we go. If you too have a question about minor league baseball theory, fan theory that you would like to throw our way, podcast at MILB.com. We love them. And with that, we do.
Is very small.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Hillsborough hops. A hop is very small. That's true.
Think about this the rest of the day now.
Yeah, I know. Or like, what is the second largest one behind the Smokies? I mean, I guess
and, depending on the size of your own personal ambition, drive could be very big. It could be very small.
Oh, look at you, Sam. That was pretty good. That's pretty good. Yeah, for the ones that are like, they are unquantifiable. Really, they're intangible. It's like kind of tough sometimes. But yeah, now we all know. By the way, meteors are those are the things you see in the sky. That's what NASA says. Asteroids are rocky, comets are icy, and meteors are much smaller and are the shooting stars that you see up in the sky. And now you know. Okay, now we are going to pivot to Name That Dude for this week's episode of the show before we get set to say goodbye. One of us picks a dude from baseball years past, and it is the duty, the job, the sacred responsibility of the other two to name that dude. This week, Benjamin Hill knows the dude. Sam Dykstra and I will try to guess the dude. And Ben, the dude floor is yours.
All right, I got a dude. He was born in Redwood City, California, among the towering trees, presumably a very beautiful town. And he was drafted not once, not twice, but thrice.
Oh, was he actually, or are you reading it wrong like I did last week?
No, he was drafted out of high school by the Los Angeles Dodgers in the 38th round of 1994. Then he goes to UCLA and is drafted after his junior year in 1997 by the Houston Astros, now in the fourth round. He says, nah, I like UCLA. I'm going to stick around. And then he got drafted by the Oakland Athletics in the eighth round of the 1998 draft. And that is where his professional story begins in 1998 with the Visalia Oaks. They were the Oaks at the time. So he was feeling right at home. This boy from Redwood City is now playing for the Visalia Oaks in 1998. And he also spends time in 1998. He might have started here first, actually, with a team, again, tree themed, and a team I don't know much about, the Southern Oregon Timberjacks. In Medford, Oregon.
They didn't spell that weird, did they? Like Diamond Jacks was with two X's at the end?
No, it wasn't with the two X's.
Okay.
It might have been a compound word with no space, like timber.
Yeah, timber with an intercap.
Yeah, intercap J. But that team, after 1999 season, moved to Vancouver and became today's Canadians, while the AAA team that was already in Vancouver at the time relocated to Sacramento and became the River Cats. So this dude was there for the penultimate season of the Southern Oregon Timberjacks in 1998. His professional debut season split between there and Visalia. 1999 to Midland, Double-A, Texas League with the Rockhounds, and he also spent some time that year in the California League with the Modesto Nuts. 2000, now he's with the Sacramento River Cats in their debut season in the Pacific Coast League after relocating from Vancouver. So he got to play with the team that moved to Vancouver and then with the team that had just left Vancouver while never playing in Vancouver himself. 2001, more time in Sacramento, but also his major league debut with the Athletics, where he then plays for them 2002, 2003, 2004, goes 2005, starts the season with the Athletics, and then goes to the Rockies and the Orioles. He played for three teams in 2000.
I think I know who this is.
2000. You got it?
I think I do.
2006, 2007, 2008, 2009 with the Diamondbacks, a few kind of more rehab-related appearances with them. This is where he came to my attention because I was looking at Max Scherzer's minor league career, and Max Scherzer played briefly in some minor league games with this guy when he was rehabbing, when Scherzer was beginning his career. Scherzer overlapped with Randy Johnson in that way too in 2007 and 2008, before also being a teammate of Randy Johnson in his rookie year and Randy Johnson's penultimate year in 2008. And then he finishes up his career outside of a handful of games in the Independent League with San Rafael Pacifics in 2014. He finished up his major league career with the Seattle Mariners in 2010. So I think you guys got this one. Tyler, you got this one?
I believe I do.
Didn't say if it was pitcher or position, but I think you got it.
This is Eric Burns.
It is Eric Burns.
Eric Burns. I'm sure at one time I knew this, but I don't think I remembered Eric Burns went to UCLA. But now I do. Now I know. Eric Burns, forever in my heart for this one moment in 2007 National League Championship Series, the most flash-in-the-pan run in sports history. The Colorado Rockies, of course, winning 20 games in 21 days to reach the World Series, where they got mollywopped by the Boston Red Sox because the Rockies had been sitting around for like 6 months before the World Series started. But Eric Burns, after Game 2 of the National League Championship Series in Phoenix, where his team went down in an 0-2 hole, coming back to Denver for Game 3, he said something along the lines of, I also don't think that the Rockies have outplayed us, because they haven't. It's not even close. And then proceeded to get booed every time he came up. He went 0 for 4, I think, in Game 3. Maybe this was Game 4. Maybe that was a comment after Game 4. And when he came out to left field, where I was sitting for that game, everybody just starts, chanting and booing. And there was like an 0 for 4 chant, oh, 4-4. And Eric Burns did a great job, just like shaking it off, whatever. And then we're getting ready for the inning to start. Everybody sits down. I stood up on a bleacher and I put my arms up over my head in a big 0, the way people do the O when they do the OHIO thing insufferably. And Eric Burns looked up at me, spotted me doing the 0, and he just hit me with like the Jordan shrug, like, hey man, what am I gonna say? And from that moment forward, I just loved Eric Burns. I was like, he's a good sport. This is a dude like on the biggest stage of his career. He's not having a good night, and he's still like, I get it. So I liked Eric Burns forever after that. He'll live with me from then on. And now he's got those auto insurance commercials where every time I see him, I'm like, what 90s rock star is that who's on those commercials? But Eric Burns, wherever you are, right?
Yeah, and according to his
baseball stuff, we dig you.
Sorry to interrupt, Tyler. Just according to his Wikipedia page, he also set a record for most holes of golf played in a single day with 420.
That's amazing. That's a very Eric Burns type of thing. I feel like if that actually happened, that seems very Eric Burns. Seems like just a fun dude. Like hanging around. I've gotten to hang around Nick Swisher a lot the last few years with Home Run Derby X, now MLB X, and Eric Burns strikes me as very like you would not leave an evening hanging out with Eric Burns any way other than like feeling better about life. Like he'd hype you up. He'd be the energetic dude. So Eric Burns, we salute you. And we salute all of you who tuned in for this week's episode of the Show Before the Show podcast. For Sam Dykstra and Benjamin Hill, my name is Tyler Maughan. We'll catch you next week.